there. Show your hand.
Surrounded by federal agents, a loaded gun pointed at his head. Those moments of Court Stack's life replay in his nightmares.
I was wondering, why would someone point a loaded gun at my face? I mean, what does this have to do with anything? It's open a door and point a loaded gun at someone's face who's in an office in a management position. It made me feel really scared, kind of helpless.
It was his first and only encounter with law enforcement. He will never forget it. Neither will the other employees at this small Arkansas water bottling company. Their vivid accounts of that day were used to produce an accurate reenactment of the federal raid on Mountain Pure Water Company.
We saw all of the cop cars and the commotion, and nobody could come in.
They come in with black vehicles, unmarked, blocked every entrance. There was probably 40 to 50 agents, blocked every door. They just come in full speed.
They had surrounded the facility and entered all the doors and secured the whole premises when they came in.
Yes, I was scared to move because, they had guns on and you couldn't really move, you couldn't go nowhere.
First of all, it was ridiculous. I mean, there was nobody here that needed manned with firearms or to be guarded.
Well, it was almost like you'd watch Cops or something, or watch these drug raid shows where they would kind of come through the door, just everybody storms in and just kind of pushing everybody to the side.
And there's police everywhere with guns, and it just blew me away. I didn't know what was going on, I thought maybe it was drugs or they was after a felon or something, but I mean, they had a lot of police.
I felt violated. I felt the company was violated, everyone here. We were all in shock.
They came through the door and they pushed us over to the wall and went down through the hallway. They were very serious. They were very well intending to take control of the facility and to intimidate us in the sense of complying with them.
We were saying, oh my gosh, what's going on? And but as far as being able to really say something to each other, we couldn't. We had them all on top of us, no matter what. I mean, they were everywhere. They were everywhere.
At first, everybody thought it was some type of drug raid or something because there were so many people, or so many cops.
But this was no drug raid. No violent criminals hiding inside the walls of this facility. In fact, employees here were shocked when they discovered the real reason behind the terrifying paramilitary Gestapo-style raid. This raid was about securing paperwork concerning financial transactions of the company's owner, John Stacks. Paperwork they would have gladly shared at the request of a single agent. No need for an aggressive raid by 40 to 50 armed agents.
Well, in my opinion, the raid itself was totally unnecessary. The government has subpoena power with the grand jury. They could have subpoenaed anything they wanted to, and I've known John Stacks for a long time. John would have given them whatever they subpoenaed. There was simply no need to bring 40 or 50 officers out here and storm this place like they did.
I don't think that we have anybody in our facility that, with our background checks, that have any kind of active criminal background. And yet, you've got a tactical team that entered our facility and treated every one of our employees as though they were involved in criminal activity. And that was pretty amazing to me. The same information that was gleaned, if they would have walked in the front door, they could have had. No reason to think that there would have been any issues or any opposition to that, and surely not from our employees working on the floor.
John Stacks, the company's owner, was not at the plant when the raid started. He and his other son, Ryan, an attorney, were shocked to discover upon arrival that Stacks could not even enter his own facility, nor provide his employees with a company attorney. He says one agent even threatened to arrest him for obstruction of justice.
They told us to sit down. They told us to shut up. They told us that they would deal with us in their own time, and told us again we needed to leave or they would arrest us for obstruction of justice. And, I told them this was my place of business. I was the owner, and I thought I had a right to know what was going on.
My father had asked to go in, and they said no, he could not. And I'd asked to go in, they said no. And I said, well, as an attorney and representing Mountain Pure, I would like to be present in what searches or things you're conducting. And they said no. And we found out they were conducting interviews, and I said, well, I'd like to sit in on those. We were also told no.
And what I'm going to say is a direct quote. We're the federal government. We can do what we want, when we want, and there's nothing you can do about it. I was blessed to have a father that fought against Nazis in World War II. It's my generation's turn to fight. The problem is, it's on this country we gotta fight. I'm not a militant. They've thrown the Constitution away. We did not have lawyers. I requested that a lawyer the corporate attorney be contacted. That was thrown out the window. My wife saw this on TV. I could tell by my ringtone she was calling. I could hear my phone ring. I'm not allowed to answer it. Am I arrested? Am I detained? No one would tell us anything. Don't worry about it, just sit down. They threw our liberties out the window. They treated us like third-class citizens. If people are not outraged, they need to be. This used to be America. Now it's not.
The language they use, the profanity they used over and over again, screaming and hollering at me, calling me and referring to me as Old Man Stacks. And then one of the law officers there told me this, kept telling me, well, why don't you just touch me, Old Man Stacks? I'll show you what a federal officer can do to you. And did everything he could to provoke me, and literally hovering over me and literally spitting in my face as he was hollering and screaming at me.
I remember thinking, to me, it was almost like something you would see in a fictional movie. I couldn't believe what was occurring. It's to an extent I felt like I was in a third world country, the way they were treating us.
Meanwhile, inside the building, agents shut down plant operations. The assembly line came to a screeching halt. All employees were herded to one room, their cell phones confiscated, as well as pocket knives or other items that could be perceived as weapons.
They disconnected all the phones, they disconnected the internet, and we was just left waiting. It was embarrassing to see them just bust the door with no one knowing what was going on. And then they act like the employees were just a bunch of drug dealers.
Again, I would have never fathomed that something to this extent could take place, you know, in the United States. And it was one of the wildest things, the craziest things that I've ever been a part of. We were being treated similarly to what you would with some type of terrorist, essentially. They pretty much told us under these circumstances we really didn't have any rights at the time, and it was. I don't really know that I can put words to the feeling to what I was feeling other than just disbelief.
What agents did next further compounded that disbelief. They seized computers, laptops, employees' personal items, flash drives, and financial records. 82 boxes of materials.
There were two legal problems with the raid. First, I think the warrant for the raid was invalid. The Fourth Amendment requires that the items to be seized in a search be described with particularity in the warrant. This warrant, in describing the items to be seized, referenced the attachment. The attachment says that the officers can seize all evidence relevant to a violation of the statutes listed on the warrant. There were no statutes listed on the warrant. So they were either authorized to seize nothing or to seize anything they wanted to, and they seized anything.